This week we have the incredible privilege to read Parshas Korach. And the Parsha begins with a story that, although we're so familiar with the details, seemingly defies comprehension. Korach leads a rebellion against Moshe Rabbeinu. The fact that he rebelled against organized leadership is not such a chiddush. That might even be inherent or part of the fabric of them to resist authority, to try to throw off or to shirk off the shackles of authority. But Korach's statement is what is incredibly amazing. The pasuk begins by saying the beginning of the parsha, "Vayakalu Moshe v'al Aaron vayomer aleim rav lochem." You have enough. Ki kol ha'ida kulam kidoshim. The entire assembly is holy. B'socham Hashem. Kadosh Baruch Hu resides within each of us. Umadua tisnasuu al kahal Hashem. Why is it that you lord over the assembly? And Rashi HaKadosh comments, what does it mean when Korach says kulam kidoshim? We're all holy. So Rashi HaKadosh comments, kulam shamu dvarim b'Sinai. We all heard HaKadosh Baruch Hu speak to us at Har Sinai. So Korach's claim against Moshe seems to be on a very basic level. You think that you're all holy. You think that you're special. You think that you're so holy because you communicate with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Well, guess what? We all heard from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Rebbe Shalom spoke to all of us. And as such, you're no more special. You have no more exalted status. And the great tzaddik Rabbi Nachman of Breslov is folding over here. What's Korach's taina on Moshe Rabbeinu? And the Rebbe quotes in the Kuti Halachas an incredible idea. Quotes the Gemara Masechah Shabbos. The Gemara says that when Klal Yisrael said Na'aseh v'nishma at Har Sinai, and they were zochet to hear the first dibros mipi abori from the mouth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, paska zuhu masan. Without getting into all the esoteric aspects of this, but on a basic level, the residual impurity, which was the result of the first sin of Adam and Chava and their interaction with the Nachash. That impurity had rested, or really had intertwined in the spiritual DNA of Klal Yisrael. And when we stood at Har Sinai and we said Na'aseh v'nishma, and we were able to hear the dibros directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Paska zuhu masan, all of that residual impurity melted away. We were restored almost to the state of Adam and Chava prior to the sin. Sinless, flawless, spiritually luminescent, magnificent, in full holiness, in full kedusha. And so says Rabbi Nachman so beautifully, Korach says to Moshe, the clock was reset for all of us. Paska zu masan means that we were all restored to the state of Adam HaRishon prior to the sin. You see, we often think that Rashi is saying, we all heard the same thing from God. We all heard from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, therefore all the same. But that can't be Korach's taina, because at the end of the day, although everyone heard from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe Rabbeinu was the one who constantly and consistently speaks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Rebbe, Korach's taina was different. Korach was saying to Moshe Rabbeinu and ultimately to Klal Yisrael, Paska zuhu masan, the residual impurity of the first sin has melted away. We've all been restored to the state and to the status of Adam prior to the sin. As such, we are all the same. We are all equal. We all stand on the same exact spiritual footing. But the Rebbe says something so beautiful. He says, so what was the mistake of Korach? The mistake of Korach was that Korach thought that once you are restored of Adam HaRishon prior to the sin, that state, that holiness is yours for the keeping. It's yours. And you don't have to do anything to retain it. You don't have to do anything to maintain it. And growth simply becomes unnecessary. Korach thought that once that Kedusha was conferred upon Klal Yisrael by Har Sinai, there was no need to do anything to hold on to it. And says the Rebbe, herein lies the mistake of Korach. You know what the distinction between a Korach and the Moshe Rabbeinu is? You're right, they are both great. They were both Kedoshim. They were both Leviim. They were both purged of the Zulma, of the impurity of the Nachash by Har Sinai. But a Korach, after having that experience, sits back, relaxes, and enjoys the ride. There's nothing more for me to do. There's no additional work I have to do. Whereas a Moshe Rabbeinu understands that day in and day out, although you were given that gift of an exalted state of holiness, what are you going to do to maintain it? Are you going to do to retain it? And how are you going to amplify it in the days and in the years ahead? And the Rebbe makes an amazing observation. He says, if you look at the Psukim, when Moshe and Korach are having their argument, Moshe Rabbeinu, the great Rodev Shalom, the great pursuer of peace, is constantly running after Korach. A different discussion about how to diffuse machlokes, try to smother people with companionship, with friendship, with love. Moshe is constantly running after Korach. And what does Korach respond? So the pasuk says, this is right by Sheni. So, right before Sheni. Vayishlach, this is Perek Tezayin pasuk Yud Beis. Vayishlach Moshe likro ledasan laviram. Vayishlach Moshe. Moshe dispatches messengers. And then just a few psukim later, Moshe goes in and goes himself to Dasan and Aviram. And Dasan and Aviram always have, not just Dasan and Aviram, also Korach, Dasan and Aviram, they all have the same response. 2 words. Lo na'aleh. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. And says the Rebbe so beautifully. Herein lies the fundamental. Moshe is always Vayishlach. Moshe is always Vayelech. Perpetual motion, perpetual movement, perpetual growth. Life can never be marked by stagnation, because where there is stagnation, there is mediocrity. And when there is mediocrity, descent is sure to follow. But a Korach, a Dasan, and Aviram, their mantra, Lo na'aleh. We're good where we are. We're good where we're holding. There's no need for an aliyah. There's no need for an ascent. There's no need for growth. Paska Zuhu Masan, we locked in our Kedusha by Har Sinai, and there's no need to do anything else. A tragic machlokes for the parties, and tragic for the parties involved, and tragic for Klal Yisrael. But we emerge with such an incredible lesson. We all have those moments of Hisodorus. We all have those moments of Har Sinai. We all have those moments of Paska Zuhu Masan. We all have those moments where we feel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that life, that circumstances have given us a new opportunity, a new start. And yes, there are those moments where I feel like Adam Harishon prior to the sin, brand new beginning. And in those moments, we have to make a choice. Am I going to be a Vayishlach, Vayelech Jew, or am I going to be a Lo Na'aleh Jew? Will I feel like a Korach, once I've locked it in, I'm good to go, I could just coast until 120? Or will I be like a Moshe, that I'll use this new opportunity as a platform for beautiful and dynamic growth in the years ahead? Wishing everyone a wonderful day and a good Shabbos.